Tashi Delek, and many greetings to everyone. Tonight, as we come to the closing of the 13th Festival of Tibet 2021, I want to thank with all my heart, with much gratitude to every single artist, poets, filmmakers, sponsors, supporters, volunteers, and to all the beings who made this Festival of Tibet a hugely successful one. So thank you so much for joining from all corners of the globe. So tonight, to close the Festival of Tibet, we have a very beautiful film, a documentary made by my dear friend, Mark Gould. A pilgrimage to the Kalachakra, a spiritual journey of 5 Australian pilgrims into Ladakh in a remote far north India at 3,500 meters above sea level. They joined the colorful assembly of more than 150,000 Buddhist pilgrims from all over India, Nepal, Bhutan to receive the sacred 10 days teachings of Kalachakra by the great 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. And on top of that, after this beautiful documentary, we have a very intimate, a never shown before interview by the director with His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the subject of Kalachakra. So with Dalai Lama and Tibet in my heart, I really want to thank every single one of you for joining the Festival of Tibet, the 13th Festival of Tibet, which went hybrid this year with the beautiful opening on the 24th of April. And now it's 4th of May. After 10 days, we are closing the festival now. And I really hope that you enjoyed this very beautiful documentary, Pilgrimage to the Kalachakra.
Buddhism is really all about the experience. It's about getting a taste.
Even just landing, I think, even in Ladakh, was like I felt something. I could almost feel the mountains drawing something out of me.
I feel I will take away a deeper level of peace. I would like to take away more compassion. I will definitely take away more gratitude.
So he is a living proof because everyone loves him. He has no country, has no army, he has really no, relatively speaking, considering that he gives all his money to his people and he gives it to other people.
He brings out that genuine happiness in people that's part of us, and he's able to bring that out.
I just think he must just be happy. Sometimes I think you definitely see his laughing because people come up and they seem so serious, and he's so relaxed and like open, and so I think sometimes he's laughing because he sees the grand cosmic joke, which we don't get. We think everything's real and everything's solid and has to be dealt with, and he's like, oh guys, look, it's a massive joke.
Your Holiness, when you stand on that stage in front of 150,000 people, what goes through your mind?
No, nothing special. I always consider myself, I'm among 7 billion human beings. So all 7 billion human beings, the same. Whether in the presence or otherwise, we're still on this planet, the 7 billion human beings. We live here. Sometimes quarrel, sometimes cheating, sometimes bully, or worst thing, killing. But we are same human being.
I became a Buddhist maybe 6 years ago, and some friends of mine asked me if I wanted to come here, and obviously His Holiness is someone that I have great respect for. So the Kalachakra is, for me personally, an event or a process that will hopefully help me transform myself internally, become a better person, but it's also a bit bigger than that because it brings so many people together from all different religions and creating a more positive energy for the world.
If my experience is anything to go by, it's definitely about transformation and developing pure view, I guess, like seeing things differently than how we conventionally look at them.
I'm not a Buddhist, but I go for the blessing, I go for the intrigue, I go for the environment. I love to observe the audience and the crowd, and I ask myself, why am I here? Because it's a fair amount of discomfort. You sit on the ground for many hours a day, along with another 100 or more thousand people.
And then at 5 o'clock, I'll be free. I'm an Aussie, I'm from Melbourne. I'm a Buddhist. My mum, she was a Buddhist nun, actually, in the 70s for a couple of years. So that was always an influence in my life. So for me, this is now coming back. It's like, yeah, I'm going to actually take sort of 2 or 3 months out of my life to come to India, to go to things like the Kalachakra with His Holiness, to explore, to learn about my sort of faith identity, where it came from. Because this is my first trip to India, which is pretty cool. I'm 26, and this is my first trip to India. I've been a Buddhist my whole life.
Please tune your radio into 89 for English. When you, chief of the bipeds, were born, you took 7 steps on this great earth and said, I'm supreme in world. To you who were wise at the time, I pay homage.
My understanding of the Kalachakra is that it's a complete toolbox for becoming a self-realized and functional member of the world, of a society.
One unique thing about Buddhism, Buddha stated, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment."
Basic day at the Kalachakra, His Holiness arrives quite early, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock, and he does his practice and what's called the self-generation. Some people come along and hang out and bliss out and enjoy that, but most people arrive just after lunch, and that's when it begins. And then there's just a series of meditations and prayers and things we have to repeat and so forth that we go through with him for about 3 or 4 hours. And by the end of it, you're kind of hot and sticky, but a little bit blissed out and happy and maybe confused. A mandala is a representation of a divine world, and it's literally the house of your Buddha nature. And so a mandala is a representation of that, of how we create the world with our mind. And so in Tibetan Buddhism, we are deliberately remaking our minds so that our experience of the world is different, is improved, so that it's infused with more connection, with more compassion and kindness.
This is the verse of salutation from Abhisamaya Alamkara. The Buddha dispels the darkness of the ignorance of sentient beings with his teaching. And so without being overly attached to the teaching of the Buddha, saying that I'm a Buddhist and therefore I hold the Buddha to be sacred. But what you need is an unbiased, skeptical mind and do analysis of the teaching of the Buddha.
You have an experience of yourself as if you are everything and everybody and all of time simultaneously. And then you feel totally great. You feel totally blissed out.
So transforming your mind away from the greed, ignorance, hatred is just so natural. Getting away from that cycle and kind of training ourselves step by step to appreciate more compassion and kindness, kindness that people do to oneself, and appreciating the kindness that one can do to others, and seeing that gradually replacing the negative, defensive, angry attitude, which is only harmful, which we know is only harmful.
Kalachakra has a particular way of people finding confidence that the power of goodness and love that will dominate. You know, the world will not go up in nuclear explosion. It will not go up in polluted, warmed floods and everything. It will work out because there are very powerful forces helping us. But on the other hand, they can't do it for us. We have to wake up and shape up.
It's hard to see how you doing a little bit of meditation and calming your mind is going to bring about world peace. It's very hard to see that. But I think everybody knows that their actions have a consequence. And so if they're bringing negativity into their workplace or into their family, it creates unhappiness around them. So you ultimately just have to become responsible for the things which you touch in life.
All teachings, including non-Buddhist teachings, Christianity, Judaism, Muslim or Islam, different Hindus, all teaching. The real practice is practice of love. That's the seed of peace. And in order to practice, you see, that all teachings also, you see, emphasis practice of forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, self-discipline. So this brings me firm conviction there is possibility to eliminate all destructive emotion.
In Tantric Buddhism, you're supposed to be always doing stuff with your body, speech, and mind. So in their body is, you know, marking out the lines, but they might be saying mantras at the same time. And in their mind, they're visualizing that they're manifesting this mandala out of nothing, out of emptiness. So it's a massive teaching on impermanence, on how something appears really beautiful and amazing, and spending a lot of time, because that's what we do. We spend a lot of time in our lives working on things and making them beautiful, but ultimately everything dissolves anyway.
There's a lot of heat, there's a lot of things to do, there's a lot of people here. And so a lot of the time I spend trying to manage all those physical obstacles, the crowds, lack of proper food, not enough water, people jostling. And then, you know, from time to time sitting in the teachings, just listening to what His Holiness is saying. Certainly in the first few days, I found it quite an emotional experience.
I've been hungry, I've been thirsty, I've been uncomfortable. And yet it's probably some of my most joyous experiences.
We're doing different things here. It looks like we're all doing the same stuff in some ways. But each person is having a very different experience, and I think, you know, maybe His Holiness is the thing that brings us together. I mean, you can see the focus when he comes in, and everyone's silently there, prostrating, you know, and looking right at him.
So, when the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths, he said this is the noble truth of suffering, this is the noble truth of origin, and then this cessation, and the noble truth of the path.
when I talk one individual, when I talk 10 people, when I talk 100 people, 1,000 people, 100,000, no differences.
You know, from time to time, something kind of goes into your heart and you feel something a bit more. But I would expect that most of the effects of this will be felt several weeks later. You know, when I go back, I'll reflect and see if my husband notices any differences.
I think at its most basic level, enlightenment is really just connecting with your true nature. That's really what it is. And it's hard to believe that we are fundamentally good, that we're okay, because our minds are so confused all the time. So enlightenment is really just that connection with ourselves and realizing that actually we're all right. And that these confused, I want to say fucked up, confused, neurotic things which our mind can do are not us. And kind of seeing through those. I think I was expecting a lot to happen in the Kalachakra. And I think on some level a lot did happen. It was massive. It blew the top off my mind. On another level, I still feel like there's work, you know, like the job is still the same job. And so I really hope that I go back and I can develop a meditation practice based upon what I've understood here. So this 12 days is like setting you up. It's like, you know, it's like getting you ready to go and giving you permission to like access this really profound teaching.
I think it will give me a motivation to work harder, to study more. And then I hope I'll remember some of the things that he's actually taught us.
Well, what I'd like to take with me is an open heart and a sense of possibility. I mean, if I had those things, that would be amazing. And you know, I mean, that's how I feel now. So to be able to take that feeling, would be very good.
I come away with definitely more questions than I went with. I come away with more curiosity, more complexity, but I also come away with a deeper peace. From having been in that high desert-like environment, I also come away with, you know, with a great, just how great this earth is.
We do have the power to determine, to shape the quality of our life. And we could keep making a mess of it and having a miserable time and living in conflict and stress, or we can actually figure out how to be peaceful and how to be nice to others and satisfy what they need, and there is plenty for everybody if people didn't hoard too much.
Then I think we have nothing to argue. Sorry. God is infinite love. You see, no possibility to create suffering. So we created this suffering. So it is our responsibility to solve this, to minimize these problems.
Hi there, my name's Mark Gould. I'm a filmmaker, and the film you've just seen is one of a series of films I've been making about the nature of pilgrimage and the nature of devotion. After attending the Kalachakra, I thought it was terribly important that we interview His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, to put it in context and get his view on what it was that we had witnessed. It's a complex thing to understand. Anyway, the interview you're about to see is what happened when we were granted an audience with the great man. Thank you. Your Holiness, for a non-Buddhist audience, what is the Kalachakra?
The Kalachakra in Tibet, I think several centuries, large number of people allowed to participate in Kalachakra initiation. In any way, when Buddha gave the teaching of Kalachakra Tantra, unlike other Tantra teaching, one individual person get the vision of the mandala and then receive teaching. Kalachakra, Buddha manifested in form of Kalachakra to whole country. That means Shambhala. But as a matter of fact, Shambhala itself very mystery. I myself, you see, who carry many times the Kalachakra initiation, but still I don't know where is Shambhala. But you see, in India as well as in Tibet, the number of authentic Buddhist masters, you see, through their Kalachakra Tantrayana's practice, you see, they really gain a lot of higher spiritual sort of experiences. So it should be authentic. Kalachakra initiation, Kalachakra Tantra, since this is related with a nation or country, Shambhala country, nation. So as a nation, you see the Kalachakra Tantra text also you see describe, you see the country, and also it mentioned 7 sort of Dhammaraja, then 25 I don't know, Ringden, 25 Kuligas. So 25th, that means it's in after a few centuries. Then it's some conflict. It mentioned like that. So this not like other tantra teaching, other tantra teaching for individual. So like that. This is related with the country. So some kind of history also related with that. That may be, I think, the meaning.
Why have you done this so many times?
You see, many people, you see, fond Kalachakra, Kalachakra, Kalachakra. And then they ask me to perform. Then when time permits, that's my duty. When people seriously ask me, then I have to perform.
Has the practice of the Kalachakra changed through time?
No. My, frankly speaking, my daily practice is, although in my daily practice, you see, I think about 6 mandala visualization, different deities like Gui Samanza, Hiroka, and Hebanza, Yamendaga, like that. And then one short sort of visualization about Kalachakra, composed, that text composed by my teacher, late teacher, Lingamche. So that I daily practice that. So except that, my main practice is meditation on emptiness, or shunyata, and altruism, bodhicitta. So in these two practice is concerned, I think now 80 years old, I think compare 30, 40 years ago. Some change, some deeper experience is there. That I can say. Of course, so I didn't say I have already reached certain very high sort of spiritual level. No, but just the beginning. So I think little above 0. So, but you see, it affects my emotion. See, attachment, desire, anger, jealousy, these are the destructive emotion. I think through these practice, you see, gradually, you see, in time, in years time, in years, it change, much reduced. So this brings me firm conviction there is possibility to eliminate all destructive emotion. So that's we call Arahat, or finally Buddhahood. That I now sharing. You see, those people who study, carry study seriously. Usually we study something like, you see, looking map, or you practice this and you reach there, not much sort of concern, relevance, your own day-to-day life. It's improvement, transformation of your own emotion. So some I sort of say, friend, also they notice, this is recent years, is in my talk, quite often, you see, touch about the shunyata subject. Because you see, because of some experience you see develop, then more enthusiasm, more interest come. So like that. And then the understanding about emptiness is the basis of all Tantrayana practice. And Kalachakra Tantrayana also, you see, the understanding about shunyata is like other the Tantrayana, the foundation. Without that, difficult. Then different Tantrayana, particularly Kalachakra Tantrayana, there is some unique things there. Usually we call Tongsu Choegyal. Some kind of what I don't know. The Sanskrit word I don't know. Shingiwe. Tongsu Choegyal. In Kalachakra Tantrayana, you see, use the same word, emptiness, you see, in different meaning. One emptiness without, I say, the particles, one form. That also called empty physical or something. Then another emptiness, that is common. I mean, the common sort of also the idea of emptiness, which I mentioned there, which I mentioned before, like that. So, Kalachakra Tantra, I think subject very vast. Also the external Kalachakra, that means the whole cosmology. And Kalachakra cosmology, I think not mentioned about Big Bang. I think we should include that. And cosmology, external Kalachakra cosmology, also is mentioned Mount Meru. That now I don't accept that. But in the terms of a body, you see, from top of our head and till foot, you see, the 31 different realms mentioned. So then this backbone consider Mount Meru. So some symbolize, then okay, like that. So external Kalachakra, internal Kalachakra, then body, different nerve centers, and inner sort of energy, all these is mentioned. Then other Kalachakra, that means the method to purify external Kalachakra and through purification of internal Kalachakra.
You refer to it as a Kalachakra for world peace. How does this practice relate to peace?
Since I think historically, you see, according to Kalachakra Tantrayana, you see, Buddha, you see, taught it in this teaching with a connection with a country. So, you see, peace. Of course, individual case, inner peace. So all teachings, including non-Buddhist teachings, Christianity, Judaism, Muslim or Islam, different Hindus, all teaching. The real practice is practice of love. That's the seed of peace. And in order to practice, you see, that all teachings also, you see, emphasis practice of forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, self-discipline. So all have the sort of potential to create inner peace, according different people who have different mental disposition. Now, Kalachakra, as I mentioned earlier, you see, historically, some relation with the country, and you see, the text, you see, consider the Shambhala is part of this planet, our world. So through that way, you see, we can interpret this Kalachakra Tantra for some sort of relevant world peace, like that.
Your Holiness, when you use the term science of mind, how does that relate to Western psychology? Thank you.
Firstly, among Indian tradition, I think almost 3,000 years, the Sangha philosophy, there are two categories. One, accept a creator. One, do not have that concept, creator. And then, about 2,600 or 700 years, the Jainism, Jain tradition come. Also, no concept of creator. Then, about 2,600 years ago, Buddha come. That also is no concept of creator. This is rather self-creation. And then, one unique thing about Buddhism, Buddha stated, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So, you see, and also, you see, Buddha stated, Buddha, you see, cannot remove the followers' sort of pain or the cause of pain. That's karma, negative karma, and negative emotion. Buddha cannot wash. Nor Buddha's own sort of, spiritual experience share or give us no possibility. So then Buddha's, then what way helping sentient being? They only give sort of teaching and explain reality and each individual, you see, because the ultimate cause of suffering is ignorance. So the way to remove ignorance is knowledge. So knowing the reality, we completely sort of distorted the reality. And then, you see, these the different emotions develop. So therefore, you see, Buddha's the way or method to help sentient being is teach and make clear what's the reality. So, according to Buddhism, very much emphasis about wisdom or intelligence. So now, when we talking about this ultimate cause of suffering is ignorance, and then with ignorance, the attachment or anger, hatred, all these destructive emotion. And then when you see, when we tackle these destructive emotion, you see, not through prayer, not through recitation, but try to understand the reality. What is wrong? This ignorance. So you have to prove the ignorance is, because of the deeper level of ignorance is very much distorted view. So in order to make clear that deeper level of ignorance is very much distorted, for that you have to explain what is reality. So, and that reality, that is now shunyata, concept of absence of independent existence. Now here I often use it now, use the quantum physics view. As far as matter is concerned, nothing objectively exists. So that's exactly the Madhyamika philosophy. It's all external phenomena and also internal experience, all does not exist by independently. So quantum physics so far only matter is concerned. Obviously, the scientific research up to now mainly something physical thing we can measure, we can sort of calculate like that. So mind is something mysterious. But now you see some scientists now really showing some interest, especially those brain specialists. You see, they found, you see, through meditation only work of mind or consciousness. So through meditation, some impact, some change, or because of neuroplasticity. So there is some phenomena which affect our brain. So they begin to feel, oh, there is some mysterious things there. So now, in the Buddhism, since you see the whole sort of system is utilize our intelligence and tackle these destructive emotion. The destructive emotion, the way to tackle these, there's no other way except the opposite emotion or develop. The more opposite sort of the emotion develop, then the destructive emotion, its intensity reduces. That's the way. Like, I think external thing, when the coldness there, the increased heat, then coldness automatically, you see, down. Similarly, emotions, not physical, but the zindang kasire. Zindang.
The way the mind perceives.
Perceive. So you see, for example, you see, one person is due to eye some difficulties. You see this white, then then we can, you see, some other persons feel, see a real color. Then you see that person, due to your something wrong, so you got the wrong perception. Actually not. So similarly, now usually it's Buddhist text, often you see, take example, snake, a little bit dark, and then one colorful sort of rope, and remain like a snake. Then you see there is a possibility, oh, there is snake. And because you see wrong perception, there is snake, fear come. The only way to remove fear is, look closely and touch. Then there is no snake, this is just a rope. Then fear automatically disappear. So the distorted sort of the concept you see, brings something independent, absolute. Here again is my friend, one scientist, Aaron Beck. Recently I met, 10 years ago I already met, so I'm very much impressed. I respect him. So recently I went to his home like that. Now his age 96 or 7, like that. You see, he, through years of experiences dealing with people who mentally some sort of difficulties, and then he found, he concluded, and to me, he mentioned, when person develop too much, very much anger to someone, that moment, the subject which you feel angry, you see, that appears something very, very negative. Actually, the reality, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. This is exactly as mentioned in Nagarjuna's text. So now that wrong perception, the exaggeration, very much depend on appearances. Everything appears objectively. The reality, nothing exists objectively. So all wrong perception, depend on that kind of wrong perception. So now here, the Buddhist the philosophical sort of explanation, true truth, appearances, conventional truth, and the reality, the nature, the reality. So the reality, nothing independently exists. But that does not mean nothingness. Things there, as it now, this is also this thing, the ultimate reality, nothing. But if I say, oh, nothing, go like the pain. So it is fact. Similarly, I, self, also we can, if we investigate, there's no self, there's no body, all particles, atoms, waves. Yet, you see, feeling of hungry and take food. Take food also is a particle, atomic level, then the kasadi means quantums also the level is nothing. However, you see, it worked. So then Madhyamika philosophy, they say the existence not as appears, but just mere designated. So once we realize things are designated, designation, then the strength of destructive emotion, which very much based on mental projection, then soft, like that. So therefore, the naturally, in order to know these things, in order to explain these things, you have to know the whole system of emotion, the whole system of mind. So I think I notice, as a result of now over 30 years, serious engagement or discussion with modern scientists, including psychologists or brain specialists or quantum physicists, all these now shows, make appear very clear the modern psychology. The not much detailed sort of knowledge about whole sort of system, or usually I call map of mind. So Indian ancient psychology, very rich. Logically, those all Indian spiritual tradition, most of them, you see, include practice of single-pointed mind, we call shamatha, and insight or vipassana. So these are mental sort of work. So naturally, it's more explanation about the system of mind or emotion, like that. So then, the Buddhism, particularly the Nalanda tradition, so a lot of explanation about mind. So therefore, when I have sort of serious discussion with scientists, we never discuss about the salvation or next life, or whether there is because of independent self or not. We never discuss these things. We simply discuss about the emotions and the consciousness, the sensorial consciousness and mental level consciousness. So sometimes I little bit more because of the presumptuous way, hamba. The compare ancient Indian psychology and modern psychology looks like a kindergarten level. So you see, there's vast area further development. So the full cooperation, modern scientists, especially you see, modern psychologists and brain specialists, you see, we learn a lot of useful information about brain. And with that, you see, connection, emotions and brains, these things. So to them, a lot of useful information they found in Buddhist psychology, Buddhist science of mind. And then we, including quantum physics, all these immense help. Except the casualty, the Mount Meru, no longer there. That doesn't matter whether there's Mount Meru or not. It's not much important. Four Noble Truths. These are very important sort of concept. It's really directly related with our permanent happiness, like that. Okay.
So I hope you really enjoyed this short documentary and the intimate interview that Mark Gould saved for all of us to view and experience. And Festival of Tibet is about amplifying the stories of Tibet. So thank you very much for joining us. And byproduct of it is it gives us an opportunity to raise some funds for the works of Tibetan Children's Village. So if you wish to, then please do donate. As it comes to the closing today, so the donation link will be staying online for the next 5 days. In the meantime, there must be some Tibet support network somewhere close by you. So if you want to support and know more about Tibet, please research. And if you are in Australia, you can actually join the Australia Tibet Council. And if you are in America, there is International Campaign for Tibet or the Students for Free Tibet. So you can always amplify the stories of Tibet by joining them. And I am very sure that we will come back next year with much more beautiful programs for you all to enjoy. So thank you very much for joining us for the 13th Festival of Tibet, and see you next year.